Thank you for being with us here on CBS News Chicago. I'm Marie Saavedra, and I'm joined by Dr. Phil, one of our favorites here on CBS2, who has a series of episodes starting today that you are not going to miss if you are one of the many with a renewed interest in the Dahmer case. Before we get into the details, Dr. Phil, again, thank you for being with us. Why are so many members of your audience and audiences around the world so into true crime? And what made you want to get into this case?
Well, Marie, thank you for letting us talk about this. I wanted to get into this because some of the families that lost loved ones to this Jeffrey Dahmer and some of the victims that encountered him and survived wanted to tell their side of the story. And I can tell you that this re-traumatized a lot of people. This is a very raw situation for people. When you lose a loved one violently and suddenly, it's the number one stressor in life. So clearly this is difficult for people. And then to see this depicted in this way, where it's not excusing what he did, but it seems to be contextualizing it and saying, you've got to have some empathy for him. And they're saying, no, you don't. This is a monster. This is a manipulative, lying, scumbag monster. And these are terms they use to describe him. The sister of one of the victims, Rita Isbell, you may have seen footage of her in court where she just kind of loses it and tries to attack him. Won't even refer to him by name. She refers to him as Satan, thinks he is the pure embodiment of evil. I also talked to two survivors, Preston Davis and Billy Capshaw, who encountered Dahmer, was raped, tortured. They were raped and tortured by him, but survived, and they want to tell the story. And so here are people that went through Jeffrey Dahmer and are lived to tell about it. And you could see Billy, for example, was such a nice man. And as you talk to him about it, I mean, he's now, all these years later, just visibly shaking.
Sure.
He was stabbed 30 times by Dahmer, 30 times, and raped, and reported it, and it was buried. This seems to be a pattern with Dahmer. Things just kept getting buried. And I had the opportunity, I'm going to air some never before seen footage of interviewing Dahmer's father and stepmother that helped raise him. And boy, oh boy, are there some revelations that come out of this that people are going to be stunned at what this father knew and how early on he knew it and failed to take action. He admits he missed warning signs. He admits that he was naive. He admits that had he acted, lives could have been saved. But this was a Dahmer teen that was involved in behaviors that, Marie, these are not things you overlook. These are things that involve dead animals and sexual activities and manipulation and all that's just unsettling. And to hear the father give these insights is very telling about what was going on with this individual.
No doubt parents and caregivers will want to see all of that and hear these interviews. You touched on something which I think is so important. We are such an entertainment-driven society, so we glorify crime. We love true crime as entertainment. So often it glazes over the true victims that, as you are saying from your interviews, are still so shaken. It is so visible and a visceral part of their day every day. Do you feel that that'll come through to people? This is showing them the other side of the coin of this story that is still very real for a lot of these victims.
Oh, you can't listen to these people and not know what they're going through. And and I want people to understand, curiosity into this kind of darkness is normal. And to a degree, it's healthy to acknowledge that this exists. You can educate yourself to protect you and your children by realizing that this is out there. The problem becomes when people get so obsessed with it that they do glorify the individual, or they become so paranoid they don't want to leave the house. If you get in the extremes, but there's nothing unusual about people being curious about that dark side of human nature, because it is there and we don't want to be naive about that.
Well, Dr. Phil, we look forward to these 3 days of interviews with victims, family members of Jeffrey Dahmer. You've really dug into this, and I know it's going to be fascinating. Thank you for your time, and we're looking forward to watching here on CBS2.